You're listening to RazorCast, USA's hottest podcast, bringing you cutting-edge interviews from leading industry professionals.
Hello, everyone. This is Liz Harvey coming to you from our studios in New York City, where we are dedicated to bringing you top-quality advice from many of the leading expert professionals across the U.S. In today's episode, we are speaking with chiropractor Dr. Larry Arbeitman. Dr. Arbeitman earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Kinesiological Science from the University of Maryland at College Park and graduated magna cum laude from Logan College of Chiropractic in St. Louis, Missouri. Dr. Arbeitman is the founder of Upper Cervical Chiropractic of Monmouth, located in Marlborough, New Jersey, and has overseen more than 150,000 patient visits in nearly 12 years. He has become well respected within the profession, and most specifically the upper cervical specialty. He routinely trains, teaches, and lectures nationwide to colleagues, students, and the general public. He is an active board member for the QSM3 Upper Cervical Method. Today he will highlight several of his key points from his book, The Gift of Hope, The Path to Healing Through Upper Cervical Care. Dr. Arbeitman is widely considered to be one of the top chiropractors in the country, and he is also a contributing member of our national network of industry professionals. Today we're going to talk about a very important topic, chiropractic for the athlete. Hello, Dr. Arbeitman. How are you today?
Hi, Liz. Excited to be here with everybody sharing information on this important topic.
Well, thanks for joining me, and thanks for being here. So, what are the most important reasons athletes should see a chiropractor?
Well, we could really break it down to two reasons. The first would be helping them through an injury that they may have experienced on the field to play. And then the second, which I think I see more often, is actually performance-based. You know, when the difference between first place and second place in certain sports is down to a tenth of a second, or at the elite level, everything from speed to agility to reaction time to power to explosiveness. These are things that chiropractic care can help with, and these athletes will take any edge they can get. And I'll tell you, we take care of in central New Jersey here. It's big horse country, and I take care of several horse trainers of thoroughbreds who race at a very high level, and even those animals are getting chiropractic care because the difference between first and second place is beaucoup bucks. So, you know, the injury prevention is huge. The performance side of it is even huge. And this is why all of our Olympic athletes, our professional athletes, our collegiate athletes have access to chiropractic care. Every NFL team has a chiropractor on staff. One of my good friends is a U.S. wrestling chiropractor. I've had the opportunity to work with NFL players, Division I athletes, national champions, Iron men and Iron women, and they will do whatever it takes to make sure they stay on the field and they perform at the highest level and get the edge over their competition.
And what type of chiropractic treatments are most commonly performed on athletes?
You know, that's the beautiful thing about chiropractic. Chiropractic is such a broad term. It's kind of like saying law or medicine or dentistry. And then within chiropractic, there's so many different approaches. With our office, with upper cervical care has always helped athletes achieve a great level of balance in their body, biomechanical balance, not only between the individual joint segments, but the relationship between the head, the neck, the pelvis, the shoulder girdle, and everything like for a golfer, for them to have ease of motion through their backswing and foreswing, for a quarterback to be able to get his body into the correct position mechanically for a pitcher. These are things that upper cervical care have been able to help athletes with, and that's the structural part. And then the neurological part is even bigger because as we correct the mechanics, it's a neuromechanical intervention. The nervous system is going to function as well as the structure around it. So as you keep the structure well, the nervous system, the nerves, the timing, the coordination, the explosiveness, the power, all of those things are going to work that much better. NASCAR drivers, think about their the timing and reaction time that they need to have, and when there's less pressure in the nervous system, and when the subluxation is corrected, we see all of these things improve. Now, we do this through upper cervical care, which is a very gentle adjustment through the upper neck that focuses on achieving balance in the body, the entire body, the pelvis, the spine, the neck, and all the way up to the head.
And how does chiropractic care help athletes who have suffered a sports accident or injury?
I would say in our practice with the upper cervical specialty, the number one sports injury that we see is post-concussion syndrome, head injuries. And it's become such a big topic now. The NFL just did a cadaver study on, my numbers may be a little off, but I think it was 111 ex-NFL player brains, and 99%, 110 of the 111 brains had evidence of CTE. Now, CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, was the topic of that movie with Will Smith, Concussion, and we know that head injuries have become such a big deal, not just in football, but in girls' soccer, gymnastics, wrestling, hockey, and we've seen a lot of these athletes who, the medical profession, God bless them, there's really not a medical treatment for concussion other than rest the patient and treat the symptoms. And these patients, when they have a head injury, you cannot injure your head without injuring your neck. It's just absolutely impossible. They're connected. And when there's a biomechanical misalignment or subluxation of the first bone in the neck, we have documented MRI studies to show that it interferes with the flow of cerebral spinal fluid to and from the brain. And if that fluid sits in there, doesn't drain properly, that's the cleaning mechanism of the brain. It lays down proteins, and those proteins can start to affect the brain tissue. And that's a proposed mechanism for CTE and concussions. And we look at an ex-NFL athlete like Jim McMahon, who was interviewed on ESPN, and he is suffering with bad migraines, depression, early onset dementia. He felt like an ice pick behind his eyes. It wasn't until he got under upper cervical care that those feelings and those symptoms started to diminish. And they have pre and post MRI studies on Jim McMahon showing that after his upper cervical care, the flow of cerebral spinal fluid was restored. And so I feel that every contact athlete should be getting their upper neck checked now while they're under playing sports, rather than waiting till there's an injury. But once that injury happens, upper cervical care is a huge part of the recovery process. I'm thinking of a young man in my practice named Tyler, who is probably about 10 years old, and he suffered 2 concussions. And when he first came into the practice, he was literally out of school wearing sunglasses because he couldn't even take the light in the office. And I just saw Tyler this week. He's been back to hockey and baseball now for months, and it was very shortly after he started care that the symptoms started to lift and he was able to return to school. So it's almost like we have a secret that a lot of athletes and a lot of coaches and a lot of trainers unfortunately don't know about yet.
And that leads me to my next question. For healthy athletes, are there chiropractic techniques that help prevent injuries?
Yeah, I think most chiropractic techniques are going to help the athlete. I know from working with Arbeitman that for them there's a lot of repetition, whether it be the banging of the running or the pedal stroke or the swim stroke, and they can sense when their right leg isn't getting around as much, and if there's compensation, they can feel that compensation with every stride of their run. And so I do believe that through the upper cervical work, by getting the body into a more balanced position, and when I say balanced, I mean the weight differential from the left side of the body to the right side of the body on center. If the bottom of the body is going to the left, the top of the body is going right, to compensate. Getting the body into a balanced position so that I've always said when you're exercising, it's great for your heart and your lungs, but if you're doing it on a crooked framework, it's terrible for your joint and nerve. And so I've consulted with many high-performing athletes, yoga instructors, trainers. They've got the exercise piece right. They're getting proper sleep. They're taking all their supplements. Their diet is clean. But yet they're suffering, and one of the reasons why they may be suffering is because they've been doing all that good stuff on a crooked framework, and then we take their X-rays and we see there's a lot of decay and degeneration. And so, if we're going to pound our bodies, most of us chiropractors were former athletes. That's how we became chiropractors, because we had to learn about this thing the hard way. I know that it's much better to get the body in balance before there's a problem than after there's a problem.
And how can athletes improve their performance with regular chiropractic care?
Yeah, I think it all goes back to the nervous system. Chiropractic is applied neurology, basically. It's one thing to be a neurologist and to understand how the nervous system works. It's another thing to have a tool to actually impact the performance of the nervous system. And I don't think there's a safer, more gentler, more effective tool than the chiropractic adjustment at optimizing neurological function. Every single ability that an athlete has to perform goes back to the central nervous system. Power, strength, balance, coordination, reaction time, self-awareness, proprioception, knowing where the body is in space. All of those things can be positively affected with the chiropractic adjustment.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Arbeitman. We know you're extremely busy, so I just want to thank you for your time and help today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for allowing me to share with our community.
And for our listeners across the country, if you are interested in speaking with the doctor, please visit www.getwellnj.com or call 732-617-9355 to schedule an appointment. Consultations with Dr. Arbeitman are always complimentary. He has never charged anyone to sit down and have a consultation in order to discuss their health needs and whether or not upper cervical care may be right for them. On behalf of our team, we want to thank you for listening, and we look forward to bringing you more top-quality content from our country's leading experts.
You've been listening to RazorCast, USA's hottest podcast, bringing you cutting-edge interviews from leading industry professionals.